Ukrainian journalist Viktoria Roshchina, who was captured by Russian forces in August 2023 while reporting from occupied territories, was tortured, starved, and hidden from inspections before her death in Russian custody. This was revealed in an investigation conducted by the Slidstvo Info team in partnership with the Reporters Without Borders, Suspilne and Graty. Roshchina remained imprisoned for over a year, first in secret detention sites in the temporarily occupied part of the Zaporizhia region, then in pre-trial detention center number 2 in Russia's Taganrog. However, the journalist was never formally charged with any crime. Former detainees confirmed that she had endured brutal treatment, including knife wounds, electric shocks, and prolonged isolation. Alongside physical torture, she suffered rapid weight loss, reportedly dropping to 30 kilos.
She lost weight. The woman who escorted us, they say that she was losing weight and that she was losing a lot of weight. She was in such a condition that she could not even lift her head from the pillow. I lifted her head first. She took hold of the bed handle, and that was the only way she could get up.
On September 8, 2024, prison staff took the journalist to an unknown location. In October, the Russian Ministry of Defense sent a letter to her father, stating that Viktoria had died in captivity on September 19, 2024. However, as of now, Russia has still not returned the body of Viktoria Roshchina. People of the Czech Republic crowdfunded $3 million to buy a Black Hawk helicopter for the Ukrainian Defense Intelligence, reported the DIU on Wednesday. According to the agency's Telegram post, the Czech initiative, called A Gift for Putin, ended after more than a year. More than 20,000 people came together to collect over 70 million Czech koruna for the purchase of the helicopter. The Sikorsky UH-60A Black Hawk is equipped with 4-blade rotors powered by turboshaft engines. The Black Hawk can be used for a variety of missions, including troop transport, electronic warfare, and air evacuation. With an internal load of over 1,000 kilos and an external load of over 4, it can carry 11 soldiers with equipment or a howitzer and its crew. The helicopter can also be equipped with a wing-mounted system for transporting fuel tanks and weapons, including rockets and guided missiles. Ukrainian FPV pilots burned down a high-value Russian Murom-M long-range visual surveillance system near the city of Vovchansk in the Kharkiv region. It took the Falcon FPV unit of the Hart Brigade 3 drones to burn holes through defensive nets and finally hit the target. The Murom system is designed for round-the-clock remote video surveillance, monitoring and protection of open areas, approaches, perimeters, and routes to key points. The FPV pilots also managed to hit a supply truck responsible for delivering ammo and equipment. Several EU member states have announced their commitment to provide up to 15 billion euros in additional assistance to Ukraine. This was reported by the European Council President Antonio Costa during a press conference after an emergency summit in Brussels. He noted that the European Union's support for Ukraine is unwavering.
Several member states have already made their pledge up to 15 billion up of the current
state of play.
The state.
The leaders gathered in Brussels also adopted a final communique of the summit with a paragraph on further support for Ukraine. The document was supported by 26 EU member states, except Hungary, reports Suspilne media.
Todos queremos paz.
We all want peace. The difference is that 26 believe that the path to peace is by strengthening Ukraine's defense capacity. Hungary has isolated itself from this consensus. It stands alone. A country alone does not create division. The 26 remain united with a common position and will continue to support Ukraine as we have done from day one, February 24, 2022. We will continue this way.
194 attack and decoy drones, as well as 67 missiles of various types. Russian troops targeted energy and gas infrastructure across multiple Ukrainian regions in the early hours of March 7, reported the Armed Forces of Ukraine. For the first time, recently arrived French Mirage 2000 jets took part in repelling the attack. According to the Ukrainian Air Forces, in total 34 missiles and 100 UAVs were destroyed across Ukraine. The state-owned energy company Naftogaz Ukraine reported that one of the key targets of Russia's missile attack was Ukraine's gas production facilities, making it the 17th strike on the company's gas infrastructure. Meanwhile, local authorities in the Poltava region confirmed 2 people, including a child, were injured after repeated missile strike on the Myrhorod district, damaging gas pipelines and private homes. The victims have been hospitalized and are receiving medical attention. In the Ternopil region, a critical industrial facility was under Russian attack, raising concerns over potential gas supply disruptions, reported the regional governor. Air defense forces managed to intercept and destroy one Russian missile in the area. 8 civilians were injured in Kharkiv as Russian troops targeted a residential area with a missile. The State Emergency Service reported that 3 apartment buildings, 4 private houses, a kindergarten, as well as 25 garages and almost 20 cars were damaged.
Out of the frying pan into the fire. I thought that here at my son's, now they destroyed his home too. I'm 81 years old. I fled the war and now the war caught up with me. I am from Kupiansk. There they destroyed our house.
Moscow forces hit near a 3-story apartment building and a civilian infrastructure facility, destroying garages and cars.
I don't know what to do, what to say. Thank God the weather is nice. It's warm.
A deal to supply Ukraine with advanced attack drones was struck by the UK government and an Anglo-American defense tech company. These modern UAVs will be used by Ukrainian armed forces to counter Russian aggression in the Black Sea. According to the statement, the new contracts totaling over $38 million and backed by the International Fund for Ukraine will result in Anduril UK supplying LTO 600M and 700M drones. They are designed to monitor an area before striking targets. One more nation is ready to deploy its troops in Ukraine as part of an international peacekeeping force. The Canadian Defense Minister Bill Blair stated that the country is ready to contribute to the coalition of willing that was announced by the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer last Sunday.
That there is discussions among the nations who refer to themselves as the coalition of the willing. Canada is ready and able to make a contribution to that force. But we also believe that there's important discussions that need to take place with respect to security guarantees for Ukraine and for the forces that would serve in Ukraine.
President Zelensky will visit Saudi Arabia next week. As he announced on Telegram, he will arrive next Monday to meet the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The visit was originally planned for February, but was postponed due to US-Russian talks in Riyadh. According to Zelensky, the Ukrainian team will remain in Saudi Arabia to continue working with the US delegation. The talks between Kyiv and Washington were also mentioned by President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff.
President Zelensky sent a letter to the president. I think the president thought that it was a really good, positive first step, and from that, we're now in discussions to coordinate a meeting with the Ukrainians in Riyadh or even potentially Jeddah. So the city's moving around a little bit, but it will be Saudi Arabia. And I think the idea is to get down a framework for a peace agreement and an initial ceasefire as well.
Norway will more than double its financial aid to Ukraine this year, while also hiking its own defense spending, the Norwegian Prime Minister said on Thursday, declaring that the country faces the most serious security situation in 80 years.
Together with our European allies, we will do more. Increased support from the Norwegian side has 2 main aims. Firstly, we will contribute to Ukraine's legitimate defense fight. Ukraine must be able to withstand it. They are under pressure. Therefore, we will organize our increased support so that it gives the biggest fighting power as soon as possible. Secondly, we will actively support the European peace plan, which is being developed.
The Prime Minister also voiced to Parliament in Oslo his dissatisfaction with recent developments regarding the US putting military aid to Ukraine on hold.
A security guarantee for Ukraine becomes significantly stronger and more credible with US involvement. Signals this week about a pause in military aid to Ukraine is very regrettable.
The Norwegian leader announced that the government and opposition leaders had agreed to increase this year's funding for Ukraine to around $7.8 billion. Maxar Technologies reportedly disabled Ukraine's access to its satellite images. This was reported by Militarny News, referring to several users of the commercial satellite service. Maxar has been a crucial provider of satellite imagery for Ukraine, aiding in tracking Russian troops and calculating the damage to strategic targets. However, at the same time that the US puts intelligence sharing on hold with Ukraine, The Atlantic magazine uncovered a pattern linking the purchase of satellite photos from Western providers to subsequent Russian attacks on Ukrainian targets. A report uncovered over 350 instances where satellite images of Ukrainian locations were purchased just days before those same locations were hit by Russian missiles. The purchases were often made through third-party resellers, making it difficult to trace the final buyer. President Trump stated that he would soon decide whether to revoke the temporary legal status for more than 240,000 Ukrainian refugees who arrived in the country after the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022.
Well, we're not looking to hurt anybody, and we're certainly not looking to hurt them. And I'm looking at that, and there were some people that think that's appropriate and some people don't, and I'll be making a decision pretty soon. Okay?
President Trump
But we're not looking to hurt them.
President Trump,
especially Ukrainians. They've gone through a lot.
As Reuters reported, the decision expected in April is part of a broader effort by the Trump administration to revoke humanitarian protections granted under Joe Biden's presidency. In total, the move could strip legal status from over 1.8 million migrants who entered the country under Biden's temporary humanitarian parole programs.
Many of these people do not have homes to return to. We're talking about people whose entire towns have been leveled altogether. Where would be sending them back? To nothing. At this point, we aren't getting an official statement of denial that that's going forward by the administration, but we are getting people ready to understand what their rights are.
The Ukrainian Navy conducted an unmanned air assault from the sea. Incredibly rare footage was posted by Ukrainian volunteer and activist Serhiy Sternenko on Telegram. The video shows the Ukrainian Navy steering an unmanned naval vehicle that acts as a launch site for long-range FPV drones. Navy pilots eventually found their target, a high-value Russian anti-air defense system OSA and Strela-10, reportedly valued at around $10 million each. The Ukrainian State Emergency Service have finished clearing out the site of a Russian drone strike at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, taking 3 weeks in the process. On February 14, Russian forces launched a Shahid-type attack drone that targeted the new safe confinement arch covering the remains of the fourth energy reactor that was the epicenter of the 1986 disaster. The Russian drone blew a hole in the cover, but fortunately without causing further damage and no radiological leakage detected to date. Some smoldering remains needed to be contained and extinguished, otherwise the situation was constantly being monitored, reported the service.